While Nigeria's ruling People's Democratic Party, PDP, could be up for a tough challenge in next year's election, former Vice President and presidential contender Atiku Abubakar has joined the opposition All Progressive Congress. In joining the APC, Abubakar said his former party, the PDP, is beset with mostly leadership-induced crisis and has lost touch with the Nigerian people. Analysts say while current President Goodluck Jonathan is expected to win the elections, the opposition will get a boost from Abubakar, along with the prospect of a clash among the country's high-profile personalities. Well, as Nigerians look forward to elections in 2015, many of the country's women are demanding politicians push for legislation that will protect them against domestic violence, which is on the increase. Women make up the largest voting base. Jacqueline Ogoh covered a forum on this issue in Lagos.
These women want signed global treaties aimed at protecting women and their enforcement by law. This comes at a time of an increase in assaults, specifically physical battery, rape and acid baths by husbands or male companions. The call for justice came at the launch of two books which describe the attacks, No Safe Haven and Sexual Violence in Nigeria, a Silent Epidemic, written by a women's rights NGO, Project Alert on Violence Against Women. The director of the organization called for the speedy passage of a bill which has been pending in the National Assembly for over a decade.
Right now, the Violence Against Persons Bill, Prohibition Bill, which talks about violence against women and young girls, is still there at the Federal House of Reps. Nothing is being done. Nobody's saying anything. Since Nigeria's return to civil rule, that bill has gone through the various houses of reps. It has gone through various changes and reformations and all, but it is still there.
Nigeria's former Minister for Solid Minerals and former World Bank Vice President, Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili, believes domestic violence must be tackled from different angles. She says security enforcers must be effectively trained to handle domestic violence and not to brush cases aside as family matters that should be settled at home. She also says women should be treated equally despite traditional or religious beliefs which sometimes encourage oppression and violence.
In the decision-making processes, whether socially or politically, it's important for women to have a voice, to be respected. In many of the homes, women are not treated as equal citizens simply because of sociological and supposedly religious reasons.
She also had some advice for her own sex. She said as much as men need to learn to treat women with dignity, women must learn to respect men no matter their professional or financial status. She advised the government to introduce tax rebates that will help diffuse family financial tension.
Some of the times when men become abusive is when they feel completely unable to provide for their families. The trauma of not being able to provide turns them violent.
One of the speakers, Mr. Praise for Wowe, an advocate against sexual violence, emphasized the need for a sex offenders register in Nigeria, as well as the need to identify offenders within families instead of protecting them.
Men molest because of lies, and we have a lot of lies. I'm sure you've heard it before that I raped the girl because she wasn't well dressed. It's a lie. The original African woman did not wear blouses, they tied wrapper. Yet, it was a taboo for the men in the village to violate them because the fear of the God of the village was the gift of wisdom for the men then. So what has happened to us as Africans?
He also advised parents not to encourage the sexual assault of their children by exposing them to bad influences. Emanuela Braid narrowly escaped being brutally raped. Since then, she has been advocating for the protection of women.
The evidence that I was the police, I was the investigator, I went James Bond on everything. I had to record calls, I had to send it to radio stations to be able to get people to listen to me, to fight for me. And some people were still thinking it was a lie.
From Lagos, Nigeria, Jacqueline Ogoh, reporting for VOA News.
Well, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com.